Good afternoon and welcome parents to our third coffee talk. The title of today's coffee talk is We Are All in This Together, Active Parenting and Today's Teen. So today we actually have some special guest presenters from the Hanley Foundation, which you'll be hearing more about in just a few minutes. And today we're going to be discussing a little bit about a program, one of the programs that they offer, in addition to a few reminders in our usual Wellington High School style. So if you're just joining us, this again is our third coffee talk on Tuesday, December 15th. And do remember, please, that after this is over, if you happen to miss this, or you have a parent you know or a friend who you would like to show this to, or they would like to see this, you can access the link and you can click on it at any time once this is over, and the recording will be there for you as well. Okay, so with no further ado, today's agenda will look something like this. So we're going to first just go over the active parenting course, and that will be our guest presenters. And at the end of that, they will be available for question and answers session. So please feel free to type your questions into the chat. We will have Ms. Diamond Howard manning our chat. And then at the end, once we wrap up the PowerPoint, we will have another opportunity for you to ask more questions, either of me, I am Miss Julia Say, school counselor. Pardon the bells. In case you were wondering if we are live in a school, we are live in a school with real bells. So once we have our guest presenters and they have their question and answer session, I will do just a brief wrap up and a few reminders about some things we can do, especially during these next 2 weeks that are coming up when our students are not in school. Just a few things, a few reminders of some ways that we can help keep our mental health in a good place. And with no further ado, let's move on to our presentation. Okay, I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Diamond Howard of the Hanley Foundation, who will be introducing our first presenter.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I'm sorry about that. My name is Diamond Howard, and I am the Regional Prevention Coordinator here at the Hanley Foundation. Thank you for having us, Wellington High School. Here at the Hanley Foundation, our mission is to provide substance abuse prevention and education programs for parents and caregivers and school-aged children. We are located in West Palm Beach. However, we do provide services throughout 22 counties, and we provide services to approximately 50,000 youth and parents each year. Our programs address critical risk and protective factors. Some of our key programs is the Alcohol Literacy Challenge, Botman's Life Skills Training, and Active Parenting, which you guys will hear about in a little bit. We thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and here you will hear from Susan. Thank you.
Thank you, Diamond. My name is Susan Mikowski, and as Ms. Howard mentioned, Hanley Foundation covers 22 counties, so I am coming to you from Manatee County today. And I get the pleasure of sharing with you a little bit about active parenting. As you can see, there are two different versions up there on your screen. We have one version, the 4th edition, that is for parents ages 5 to 12. And then we have an active parenting of teens. So each of the programs is 6 sessions long. They last 1.5 to 2 hours each. And during those sessions, you're meeting with other parents, and you're kind of swapping experiences, leaning into one another, and as kind of the title of the talk today, we're all in it together. You kind of get to see behind the walls of maybe another parent's home and get to see maybe some of the struggles and the way that they're currently dealing with it. And then after being through a couple of active parenting classes, you're able to see how they're applying those concepts. And you as well can kind of share that. So in the 6 weeks, we kind of really encourage building that community and that safe space to exchange these ideas. So the program is video-based. It is a PowerPoint with slides, video vignette. of examples. And it really kind of touches all the different mediums in terms of teaching and learning. The workbooks that you see there featured are part of the program, and they were given to the participants free of charge. The program is also offered in English, Spanish, and Creole. I would point out the differences between the two programs. The lower fourth edition is going to have for example, one little boy, his name is Nicholas, he's having a struggle with putting which t-shirt he's going to wear on a particular morning. And that's an example of one of the situations that the parenting techniques are built around. And then if you flip to the teen, we would have Alex, a 15-year-old who is speaking out his bedroom window. So the core concepts are the same. In each of the programs, you're going to learn great communication skills. You're going to learn the value of respect and giving choices and a whole host of other items. But we do want you to know that if you sign up for an active parenting of teen class, it deals with a little bit of the heavier teen type subjects. There's going to be, we're going to touch on drugs, alcohol, premarital sex, all of those kind of things that we need to be talking about with our teens. So having said that, if we could move to the next slide, please. And as this kind of fills in, often when I am teaching a live class, and gotta love COVID and all this virtual stuff, if I had my choice, I would like to be in front of people, but I do this little exercise, so if you can indulge me virtually, I want you to think for a minute back to your teenage days. And I want you to think, and this actually happened to me during high school, and I think it's really interesting that I can bring this example forward and share it here. It really stuck with me, and I think it is very powerful. So think back to when you were a teenager, and you were maybe having a thought of, I'm never going to do this with my child. Perhaps you'd just been reprimanded and you'd been grounded and you didn't think that was a good idea, or it could be anything else. I encourage the participants and you guys right now to just take a second and say, I'm never going to do that with my child. And then when you have that thought in your mind, the teacher then followed it up with the class, and I'll do the same for here with you guys. What are you going to do instead? And if you cannot answer that question, if you do not have a plan, you will repeat exactly what you're not intending to do. And the reason is because we do what we've been conditioned to do. And if we don't make a conscious choice to change that, make a plan, go to a parenting class, make some different decisions, unfortunately, we'll probably repeat the exact things that we said we were never going to do. So that's kind of a great reason to want to participate in an active parenting class series. And if you flip me to my next slide, please, I'm going to go through just a teeny bit of the first session to give you an idea of what it would look like. Ooh. Okay, that filled in really quickly, but that's okay. I can go with that. What you're seeing before you is the parenting styles. And if you take a look at the far left, you can see that we've listed a dictator. And I'm sure if you think in your mind, you can picture what that looks like. Maybe a pointing finger, a very loud voice, very firm and controlling. The dictator type of parent is holding the reins very tightly. They really don't have much confidence in their child making their own decisions. There's no room for compromise. That's what a dictator looks like. Now we move to the middle and we see a zigzag line in the middle, and a doormat type parent is the permissive parent. And I'm sure if you think about that for a second, you can either call yourself out or you can say, oh, I know so-and-so, and that's exactly what that looks like. And that's where that parent is allowing the children to basically be in control. They're allowing the child to take advantage. Most doormat parents don't know the word no. It's not in their vocabulary. They often want to pamper their children. These are often the ones who, oh, I just want to be their friend. And in terms of the symbols, a dictator, that very strong and heavy-handed type parent, is kind of the visual representation there is limits with no freedom, that closed circle, the outside, kind of setting up those boundaries where there is no room for compromise, as opposed to the zigzag in the middle, that doormat, where it's sort of a free-for-all. You can see at the bottom, it says that both of these styles are reactive parenting styles. The parent is just sort of waiting for something to happen. They will react to it, and often their reactions are inconsistent and without a plan. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. So, what active parenting tries to do is to take the best of both of those styles, because there is merit to a firm person and a person who's willing to give some choices. What we like to say is active parenting likes to take the best of both, meet in the middle, and have a proactive parenting style. Many examples throughout the program will show where if we're just prepared a little bit ahead of time, we may be able to avoid some of those struggles. So with that in mind, another way of stating what active parenting would be able to teach you throughout those 6 different sessions is that you're going to be able to learn how to give choices within some predetermined boundaries for expected behavior. And this, again, is just a little teeny snippet of the first session. The program actually goes on to give you video examples of all 3 of these parenting styles and how you can see if you can recognize them, and kind of education on how you can implement them in your own home. And it then will also go on to cover a couple of the other real fundamental concrete elements of the program, and that would be mutual respect and the value of offering our children choices. So again, I don't have a long time today to share all of this with you, but I do appreciate your attention for the little piece that I was able to share, and I hope that it has made you excited about what active parenting has to offer, and that you may consider signing up for a class series in the near future. In fact, I'm going to hand it over now to my coworker, Liam Lippum, and he is going to do some polling information in terms of when you guys might be available to participate in a class. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was just wonderful. I know we can all get excited about active parenting, and I'm really looking forward to the class starting, and I'm sure everyone else out there watching is as well. So we're going to do a little poll. There will be a poll link for a Google form in the chat description and also in the chat. And for those watching, that could be also posted in an email version as well. The link will allow you to answer some questions about your availability for us so that we can know when the best time and date will be for us to start an active parenting class for you, viewers, because that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that this goes with your availability so that you all can join us and come, and we want your participation, and we want you to learn not only yourselves, but for your children. It'll definitely change your lives. I've done the class, and it's amazing. Even the relationship building skills that you learn just with your partner is amazing. I've used these same skills because I don't have a child, but I've used these same skills with my partner, and it's been invaluable. So if you can click on that chat link, it will look like forms.gle and have a whole bunch of letters at the end. That'll allow you to answer your availability. This is a 2-hour online session weekly for 6 weeks. It will give you invaluable evidence-based resources on the parenting of teens. You'll write in your email address so that we know who you are, and then you'll answer the times and dates that you are available. So you'll select all that apply. It gives you Monday through Sunday and a whole bunch of different times to choose from, little 2-hour time slots. Just click all of them that apply to you. Then we have a question about coffee talks. Any topics of discussion that you'd like to see in the future, Hanley Foundation would love to bring them to you, and so would Miss Say. So just let us know. Go ahead and type that there. And then any other comments or questions, concerns that you just want to address or just say hi, please shoot that there as well. Once you're done, you're going to submit, and we will get all these responses and let you know shortly. So I'm going to pass it back over to Miss Say. Thank you so much for having us here, and thank you for letting me speak.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, Liam, and everyone from the Hanley Foundation. So I just wanted to let you know that this is going to remain available. I know that everyone's very busy, and this might not be the best time for many of our parents to be viewing this. So this Google form is also going to be made available on the 9th and 10th grade Google Classroom, and I can also have that on the 11th and 12th for any interested parents. And that way we can continue to gather that information over the next week or so, maybe the next 2 weeks even, so that you have some time to really think about what can you actually commit to. Because any sort of course on active parenting, well, any course on anything really, it does require you to spend some time committing to more than one session. Because a lot of the skill sets that we use with our children, they're going to change depending on what's happening with your child. And as they go through different topics within these courses, you don't want to just go to one session and say, oh, got that skill that I need, I'm good to go. So that is why it is also an interactive process. So they will be working with the parents in the program so that it's more personal. So again, something that we're really, really excited to be partnering with here at Wellington. In addition, we are also very grateful that we will be having presenters come back from the Hanley Foundation to help us with future coffee talks on different topics that will also address issues and topics within the active parenting program. So for now, we're going to address any questions that you might have. I know that sometimes during a live chat, people are a little bit hesitant to ask questions that they may have, which is totally fine. Please do feel free to ask us any questions. You can email. At the end of this presentation will be all of the email address information for the people who can answer your questions. You can also reach out to anyone in our counseling department for more information about our coffee talks and about the Hanley Foundation and signing up for the course. And we will also be disseminating information regarding when we'll be offering that course here once we gather information from the parents. So for now, I'm going to go into the next slide. And before we leave you for the holiday break, I have a few reminders from the trenches, if you will, the trenches of school counseling. A few thoughts from Mrs. Say. Now, these thoughts are not just from Mrs. Say. I want to point out that these are thoughts that the entire counseling department here echo, and that we listen to your children every day, and we love your children here. We love your children, and we talk to them, and we try to help them through whatever it is they're working with. And over time, we start to hear some things over and over. And some of the same themes start to resonate. And these are some of the ones that are really coming up a lot, and I want to make sure that I touch upon. The first is that your child, and I'm going to go ahead and say every human being on the planet, wants to be understood more than anything. It's probably the truest form of love, is to say to someone, I care enough to try to understand you and meet you where you are. I love you unconditionally. Therefore, I'm not trying to change you into something that I can understand. I'm trying to understand you as you. So, of course, we'll talk more about that at length, but I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Just something to think about, that is truly what your child is hoping that you will be able to do with them eventually, especially during this tumultuous time in their life as they're trying to understand themselves. And how can you do that? Well, listening without judgment is one really effective way to let your kid know that you actually care to understand them. When you're listening and you're waiting to insert a solution, people can tell. It feels more like, okay, my parents are looking at me like, my kid is broken, and I'm going to listen very carefully so that I can fix them. And quite frankly, most of us don't feel like we need to be fixed. We feel like we need to be understood and we need to be listened to. And, your kid's not broken. They're just figuring out life, kind of like the rest of us. So listening rather than just waiting to tell them, here's how you can fix it. Trust me, I've been there. You're just a kid. I know better. You probably do, but they still want to learn it on their own. And then the next piece I'm going to touch on a little bit more in a later slide, but mindfulness, or being in the present moment, is arguably the best antidote to the uncertainty of what's happening right now in our lives. Since we don't have any control over what's happening, tomorrow. I mean, we have some control over, how we plan, but what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. Can I go back and fix the past? Nope. So mindfulness allows us to live in the moment, and not just live in the moment, but deal with what's happening in the moment rather than trying to figure out how it's going to apply to the next minute, hour, week. And then just a reminder that there are so many resources available within your community. So over these next 2 weeks when you're home, especially during the holidays, some people feel pretty down. There's unfortunately, there's some people who end up feeling very sad during the holidays because it triggers a lot of intense emotions. Things are challenging right now. Many people are away from loved ones. Many people are unable to see people that they usually see during this time. And in addition to that, some people are trying to say really important things and are being interrupted by bells, but it's okay, because I have so many resources at my disposal, such as living in the moment and realizing that right now the bell has stopped ringing and I can move on. To the next slide, please. So briefly, what is mindfulness? It's being aware and present in the moment without getting caught up in the fears or distress about the past or the future. It's not just the future that gets us. It's the past. We're like, darn it, I should have done that differently. Man, I regret that. I totally could have had a better life if I'd have done fill in the blank. You can't go back. So how can we use that as information rather than judgment, and then use that information to inform our present moment? Okay, next slide, please. And a few quick things that you can try. If you are home with your child or even by yourself, these are just some brief mindfulness strategies, a starting place, if you will, just to get yourself in the right place. An example, the 5 things strategy. So this is where you actually just sit down and you tell your child and or yourself, we're going to look at the world around us and truly focus on what is here, right now. So it involves your 5 senses. So you're going to focus on seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and or feeling. And you're actually going to list those senses, and how you're using those senses to describe the world around you. Sounds very simple. It is. But just that moment of pause is often enough to get you in the right place to be more mindful. Another one, counting your heartbeat. Some people find this one of the easiest things to do. You just take a minute, take a pause, start counting your heartbeats. Simply paying attention to that rhythm is often enough to calm you down. You can give yourself a hug. How easy is that? Look, I feel better a little bit. Why is that so great? Because, fun fact, our brain doesn't actually know if we're hugging ourselves or if someone else is hugging us. So all the positive vibes we get from that hug, we get them even when we hug ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that you should just walk around hugging yourself and, never interact with others, but it's a COVID-friendly one. Just hug yourself. Relaxing, of course, squeeze and relax is another simple one. It actually involves contracting your muscles. So you would lay down on the floor or on somewhere comfortable and then walk your child through tightening and relaxing each muscle. And you can work through the body. And in doing so, it draws attention to the different parts of your body as well as, how everything is operating together and finding harmony. So again, you can read more about it on your own. This is going to be available to you, but that's another simple one. And then, of course, the tried and true deep breathing. Big fan of the deep breathing. One thing I recommend is trying to breathe out longer than you breathe in. In doing so, you actually reset the system. So if you breathe out, if you breathe in for 3 counts, try to breathe out for 5, and you can work up to a point that you're comfortable with. Obviously, don't pass out. And finally, the tech break. Just take a break. Just take a break. Even 20 minutes with absolutely no access to anything that beeps, is plugged in, can alert you, can send you a notification. Just take a break. Work it into the day. Maybe you tell your child that there's 20 minutes every single day and we have this break and no one is on anything. You can make that part of your family routine or work it into however it works for your family. But that break is important. Not just saying, I know, we need a break, but actually doing it. If you're not doing it, your kid's not going to do it. Okay, and go on to the next slide. Again, just a few reminders that if you are around people during the holidays, and you do feel like maybe they need some help, or you know someone who is looking for help, or you know someone who needs a therapist, or is possibly feeling that they are unable to deal with their problems at the moment, these are some resources available. Dial 211. You can do this from any phone. It is a community helpline. It is a crisis hotline. They deal with suicide prevention. They deal with whatever is happening where you feel like you need to reach out to someone. They will listen. This is free, easily accessible. Legacy Behavioral Health Center offers psychiatric services in our community. They will also help with medication management. They will work with different doctors, psychiatrists, to make sure that the medication regimen is actually working for the patient. Because many times, you might see a doctor at one place, you might see a doctor somewhere else, and things get lost in translation. And that can lead to a lot of issues when it comes to, mental health and everything else. So that is a very important resource, in addition to targeted case management for children and adults. Next slide, please. Okay, and we also have access to multilingual psychotherapy, and I will leave that up there and let you look at it on your own. But I do want to point out that there are resources available to all of our families, whether or not they speak English, Creole, Spanish, and beyond. So please reach out to them if you know someone who needs help but may be feeling uncomfortable about a language barrier. And then Palm Beach County Youth Services, this is a great resource for in the summer, especially. A lot of times they have camps for students. They have volunteering opportunities. They also do counseling individually and family counseling, and they have programs where they'll come to schools. So all of these are places that you can turn to if you're feeling a little bit lost over break. And at this time, before we end, I am going to just double check and see if anybody would like to ask any questions of our presenters who are still backstage. If anybody has any questions about the active parenting courses, when they're being offered, or anything of that nature, this would be the time. Okay, so I have here Diamond and Liam and Susan. Hi guys, welcome back. Just wanted to touch base with you since I know it's a little bit challenging sometimes for parents and people watching to want to ask their question out loud. So I had a question for you just while you're on here. If I'm interested in taking an active parenting course at some time, and I'm not sure if I want to do it through Wellington High School, is this something I can recommend to any parent? Is this something I can recommend to my neighbors? How does that work?
Yes, the program is not just for Wellington parents, it's for people in the community. If you are interested in doing a parenting program, we are definitely excited to extend that invitation to you. We also, with active parenting, have the ability to train people in the community to facilitate the program as well. So we can do it either way.
Okay. Excellent. So, I think that's important to note is that one thing we've noticed about the Hanley Foundation is that the flexibility is phenomenal. They want to bring this program to our parents, and they want to meet the parents wherever they are. So, and right now, that's typically virtual. That's just how it's working. So, have you had success with the virtual sessions now, with everything being a little trickier? Just kind of wondering how that's gone.
I'll take that one. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, as I said, our preference is to be in person, that nothing beats that face-to-face. But Zoom has actually been a good platform. I've facilitated a few myself, and the parents really do kind of interact and get to share their stories like I alluded to. So yeah, absolutely. Zoom is a good platform if meeting in person is not a possibility. Okay.
Yeah, and I do want to point that out. They do the active parenting courses, in case you missed that earlier, those are done through Zoom. So it's not actually what the students use during the day, but Zoom has been generally more effective for this type of a presentation. So while they don't use it in our schools, it's perfectly fine to do the Zoom the Zoom format with the active parenting courses as well. Okay, so it looks like we don't have too many more questions right now, but as I pointed out before, this is being recorded. So please do remember that if you're watching this and it is not December 15th, you can still get access to that Google form. You can still ask us questions about anything that we've discussed here. And we will be seeing more of the Hanley Foundation in 2021 when they will be helping us with more coffee talks. And I'm looking forward to there being a 1 at the end of 2020 because I think it's going to be great. Next slide, please. I can keep everybody up just while we say goodbye, but I wanted to thank you so much for joining us. At the bottom here, I do have some of our school contacts. We have Miss Joseph in the Wolverine Wellness Center, who is available to discuss more with you about the on-site therapeutic services we have at Wellington. Mr. Farley and myself, I am Mrs. Say. We are the 9th grade counselors, and we have some 10th grade as well. So we are available if you have any questions about anything. And Ms. Gallardo is our ELL school counselor. So if you have questions and possibly English is a second language, she's a wonderful resource. And Ms. Roberto is our other 10th grade counselor who is also available. And that's in addition to if you have specific questions for our Hanley folks, where can they find your emails? Can maybe we put that in the chat? That work?
Yes, our emails will be in the chat.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so anyway, guys, thank you for having a little coffee chat with us today. I hope everyone got a little tidbit of information. Just a reminder that this is an introduction to a larger, more complex program, of course. This is just a little tidbit. So we do hope to see you back to learn more about this. And happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.